Hi there, it's Eileen from Learning to the Core, and today I wanted to share with you a little bit about my close reading passages as everyone kind of heads back to school here. I have been busy updating my close reading passages, and I thought it'd be a great time to kind of just do a little screencast showing you how I use them and the way they work in a classroom. So, the reason I started making these passages a few years ago was because the Common Core standards really came out saying close reading should be happening, kids should be digging deeper, they really should be using evidence from the text to support their answers. So I really made that a goal of mine to make sure that I was able to incorporate all the standards in my kindergarten and first grade reading groups. So this is really a way to unpack the standards and make sure that you're addressing all those standards from 1 to 9 for both fiction and nonfiction standards. So no matter if I'm doing a close reading lesson with a book from my classroom library or just with these passages, I always make sure these three things are part of those lessons. So there's rereading of the text, and this isn't where they're sitting there for an hour rereading. This is there's a day 1, day 2, day 3 reread. And then there's just a different focus that's happening each day based on the Common Core standards, and you'll see in a minute how I align those to the standards. And then they're also making sure that the kids are citing evidence directly from the text. So they're really reading and understanding it and showing you their understanding. So in all of my passages packs, I have a lesson plan like this with a specific Common Core state standard focus for each part of the rereading. So for day 1, day 2, day 3, and I kind of just tell you what you should be looking for, what you should be telling the kids, and how they can be addressing those standards. So here's an example of a poem. So in my passages packs, I include poems, nonfiction passages, and fiction passages. And for the first read, this is your first day of introducing the passage, reading it to them, and really just getting kids to discuss it and give you the knowledge that they have an overall understanding of the story. So that's where you're addressing standards 1 through 3, which is key ideas and details. So as you'll hear just from these questions, these are your simple comprehension questions. You know, what's the story all about? What are some key ideas, details in the story? Was there a central message or a lesson that you learned? Who are the characters? Where is the story taking place? What were the major events that happened? All those things are things that are addressed in standards 1 through 3. And this is, like I said, just your general discussion of it. You're going to tell kids, okay, today we're reading to find out who is this story all about. And then you would just go through and read it and discuss their responses as a group. And if you have a smartboard, it is super ideal to have this passage just up on your smartboard each day, because then you can mark it up on the other days and kids can see the text. They can really get a good image of the pictures. Now, if you do this in small groups, it works just as well, where I've just had it right in front of me. Kids are looking at it directly on the table in front of us, or I've even had it up on my computer where they can see it nice and clearly. And then we discuss it together. The second read focus happens on day 2. So now you're introducing the story again, but this time you're telling your readers that there's going to be a different focus. So you would say, okay, readers, today we're going to read Goodbye Summer again, and we already know what this story is all about, but today we're going to focus on answering these questions. So in the second read, you should be addressing standards 4 through 6, which relates to craft and structure. So those are things where you're actually focusing on the overall structure of the passage. You're focusing on what the words the author used, the illustrations that are included. So it might be something where you're saying, what did the author write that helped you figure out how the character was feeling? Or can you explain the meaning of the word, let's say delicious, from this text? Or which words show you how the character was feeling? What type of text is this? So this is them identifying informational versus fiction or literature. And you might say, who's telling the story? If it is a nonfiction passage, I do have a big focus then on the text features. And in this section, they then be figuring out, like, what did they learn from the text features, which text features help them, and all that kind of things that goes along with informational text. So in this one, not only are you rereading the text, You're also discussing it, and then the kids are actually filling out their own graphic organizer and they're marking up their own text like this that I have in front of them. And the way you can have them do it is when I showed you the passage itself, if it's up on your smartboard, if you have it right in front of you, you're marking it up with them as you're getting answers from them, and then they're doing the same thing. So this is an example that I include in with each passage in the packs. So this is how you code the text for the second read. So they're circling things, they're underlining things, you really want them interacting with the text. I have this all made for you. So it's just you really leading the discussion, but at the same time with close reading, the kids really should be leading the discussion with you. So it's not you just telling them, okay, let's circle the word sweet. You're asking them, what's a good word that describes something that you would smell? And they might say, oh, they said the berries smelled sweet. So these are this is just an example of what you would see on that sample coding to help you then really lead the discussion. And then here's an example of the actual graphic organizers that each child is filling out after you discuss it. So they're going through and they're addressing which words appeal to their five senses. They're telling you then at the end how one of those words was used in the story. So again, you're using that evidence from the text. You're seeing that they really understood the text and are able to provide evidence from the story. Next is the third read, and the third read we're now focusing on standards 7 through 9, which is the integration of knowledge and ideas. This is where you're really digging the deepest of all the days, and by now the kids have heard the story 3 times, so they really should have a better understanding of exactly what's going on. They talked about the structure of the passage, and now they are going to be really thinking about the ideas that are in the text. So how are those text and pictures connected? How did the pictures help you? Which illustrations can you describe that gave key details? And how would you describe the characters? How would you describe the setting? How would you describe the major events? So you're really getting that how and why question going with the group. And again, the kids you're reading it to them, they're discussing it with you with that specific focus, and then they're filling this graphic organizer out and also going back and marking up the text if there's anything else they want to circle. So I always again tell them, okay, we're going to read the story again together today, and today we're looking for this. So you're stating that purpose again, and then you show them the graphic organizer that they're going to be doing, and then you're going to actually discuss responses before. Then you'll have them working on the graphic organizers, and then they're going to come back and discuss again, telling them, the group, what did they draw, what did they write, why. And again, I use this with kindergarten and first grade. So you may be telling them, tell me what you want to write, and then actually helping them write it, or just going through it together. So I have a ton of passages that I like to use starting at the very beginning of the school year to really set us off right. So you can see there the back to school passages all the way to fall, winter, spring, and the end of the year. And then I do also have a bundle that includes all these passages plus my close reading packs I can use just with any book from your classroom library for a little bit of some money savings. So if this is something that you are interested in, you can check it out in my TPT store, Eileen Clausen. And thanks so much.